Hello. Much has happened since our last recap update, and I wanted to sort of frame a few points here today, put them in perspective, and allow our shareholders to understand where we're going on the next part of our journey here. In mid-May, as you're all aware, we had an $18.4 million US commercialization award from the U.S. Department of Defense. U.S. Department of Defense is our strategic partner, and they had an add-on award as part of our other transaction agreement. That other transaction agreement started with a $4 million Phase 1 award and turned into an $18.4 million Phase 2 award. That $18.4 million award is for commercialization efforts in Louisiana. And that happened in mid-May, so we got a lot of traction from that. By the end of May, we actually had moved quickly. We were in Louisiana and Alexandria at our facility, and we had a groundbreaking ceremony. It was very well attended. We had representatives from Letlow's office, Mike Johnson's office, Senator Cassidy's office. We had all the local Louisiana economic development people there, England Air Park, where we're situated, which is a foreign trade zone, of course. So there are no tariff implications coming into that particular air park where we are in the building that we've got. And a lot of the local community people, close to 200 people. We had a very nice set of speeches and groundbreaking, and it sort of launched everything. And we did launch from there because by the middle of June, we had our kickoff meeting with the Department of Defense, using that $18.4 million as the framework for where we're going next. We've laid out, as you can imagine, the budgets we're going forward with, the timelines we're going forward with, what we're looking to achieve, various milestones, much the way we did with the Phase 1 award of $4 million. And keep in mind, we have two programs here. So the Phase 1 award, the $4 million, was for a commercial demonstration. It's in Kingston, Ontario, Canada. It's to demonstrate our technology and show how we can move towards commercialization with an element that compares actually solvent extraction to Rapid SX, which is our technology, of course. The last milestone that we just submitted payment for was the split of terbium and dysprosium. And for those of you that are not familiar with the periodic table in that fine detail, those two elements are heavy rare earth elements. Those heavy rare earth elements were split in our Rapid SX plant, which means we're left with dysprosium, which is much sought after in the Western world. So the Phase 2 program kicked off, and that Phase 2 program, apart from defining all the objectives of the project, we get into the planning of the engineering development to scale up our columns for Louisiana deployment, our process flow sheets, which are all part of the plan forward to show how things will work from the very start of the plant to the back of the plant. And then finally, the actual on-site civil work. And you'll see some of the most recent news that came out. There are a couple of photos that show the civil work that's now going on in Louisiana. So we've moved quickly from the award in mid-May to now being on site in Louisiana and actually starting to construct along with our engineering team. And that engineering team, by the way, is following a very disciplined procedure. But one thing I'd like everyone to remember, we're focused on heavy rare earth elements. And although we have NdPr, which everyone talks about, and there are various companies pursuing NdPr, which is part of a permanent magnet construction, heavy rare earth is very key because that allows the magnet to keep its magnetization at very high temperatures. And dysprosium is pretty much controlled by the Chinese market. They get their source from Myanmar, which is rebel controlled. And we now have sources that we're working with that are U.S. friendly, that are Western world friendly, and we're processing those. We've processed them in Kingston. Again, making that dysprosium terbium split was a big last marker. And we're focused on heavies in Louisiana. Keep that in mind as we move forward. Another significant thing that happened was that in mid-June, we had what's called a life raise. Life stands for a listed issuer financing exemption. It allows the company once a year to make a raise with certain parameters on it. We had targeted $10 million as a raise. We were looking to take the news of the DoD and take the summer season, which was coming up, and saying, we need capital to move our plan forward in a big way, make sure that we're cashed up and ready to move forward. Let's not dilute our shareholding too much, but we do need another capital raise to make sure we get to the revenue, which is the key. We've got to get to revenue, and that's where we need to go. So we had done a lot of work through the months of May into the first part of June, giving our pitch to institutions and various different groups, just to sort of here's our business plan, here's what we're up to. And it was liked by many because when we finally launched our raise, we were able to open and close it within 24 hours. We were oversubscribed. And we made a decision that instead of $10 million, we'd go to 15.5 million, and 15.5 million is where we ended up on our total raise. So again, capital's needed when you have a project like this where you're looking for rare earth refining. You've got, equipment and all sorts of things to consider, like feedstock and cash flow to get going, et cetera, et cetera. And so we did that very well, and we executed. It was led by Red Cloud with the people from Raymond James came right behind us. Raymond James, no small entity. They have both had a number of strategic meetings with us and indicated this is how we should move forward at this point in our journey. Get capital stable and be able to execute a plan. If you look around the rare earth industry right now, there are many juniors that are looking for financing. They continue to find their way forward. Until you have that capital, you can't move forward. Which brings me to the next important point. Capital doesn't solve the issue either. You've got to have the technology, which we've been able to show over a couple of years now, running thousands of hours on our commercial demonstration plant in Kingston, that we have the efficacy of that technology to go to commercial scale up, which is why the DoD awarded $18.4 million. Hey, good job, Ucore. You've done the job with the $4 million. Let's move to the next tranche. But the other important thing is you need people, you need experience. And there was an article that came out weeks ago, and it talked about China, how aggressive they were getting, not just with their export ban on REEs and the licensing to allow REEs to leave their country, but they were actually looking at anyone with experience, anyone with expertise. They were getting copies of passports. They were taking passports away because they do not want that experience to leave China and go to the Western world to allow anyone to develop rare earth processing and refining and downstream magnet making and all the things that go into making a supply chain in the Western world. But Ucore was kind of ahead of that game. We knew that once we were getting cashed up, that we had to have the people to bring on board. I won't use names, but we've hired an operations person for Louisiana who has experience in the rare earth industry, has run an operational plant before in the rare earth industry. Very pleased to have this new person on board. Technology-wise, we've hired a PhD who's got a lot of good experience with solvent extraction that's helping us really finesse and fine-tune and continuously improve our technology going forward, which is perfect. And then finally, we've just recently hired someone that's going to be our project lead, who will actually take all the information from the engineering plans, the process flow sheets, the construction plans, and actually manage the project. And this person has actually built a rare earth separation plant, refining and processing, both heavy and light. Again, heavy, very key. And that person has joined the Ucore team as well. We'll make that information available as time comes, as the time is right. But you'll be very pleased that we've built the team now to be able to move forward. Again, capital just not to solve the problem unto itself. The other key thing we've had to do is we've had to look at other partnerships. One-off transactions are not the solution here. Meaning, if Ucore was to make a one-off transaction with a metal alloy maker, okay, but that doesn't solve the problem. We are fresh off the REIA show in Montreal, the Rare Earth Industry Association, and show in Montreal, and we met with all the key players from feedstock to downstream to metal alloy, and we've aligned partnerships, and the partnerships are things that will take us from here's the best-in-kind feedstock, here's the processing and refining from Ucore. Now we move to the metal alloy making, of which we've got 4 conversations going with Western world, very good, robust potential partnerships there, and onwards to magnet making or not magnet making. There are companies out there that don't need the permanent magnet, of course. They've got other ways to make things happen. So those partnerships are key as well, and that's part of our plan forward. I'd like to end with some industry perspective. China has quite a control of the rare earth industry in particular. But the growth curve ahead for the Western world is really crucial from 2 points: national security, emerging industries, and we need to develop the supply chains that are very robust. There's a lot of demand, a lot of requests for Western world supply. If you look at most recently, the export controls that China is putting in place as they go back and forth with the U.S. regarding trade war, want to have this, don't give me that. It's a very delicate situation, but it's good for Beijing. It's not good for the U.S. It's not good for the Western world. Just look at the auto plants, the EV auto plants that have shut down recently, Ford Motor Company in Chicago, because they can't get the rare earth permanent magnet inputs. Think of the implications if defense is not able to get rare earth permanent magnets for their F-35 fighter jets or for their missile guiding systems, which are heavy rare earths are used in those applications. That's a real dire situation. But there was a bold move made recently where the DoD has made not a grant, but an equity investment in MP Materials. And we looked at that and we thought, this is actually really good news for a couple of reasons. First off, it shows that the trade war of the U.S. trying to negotiate with China on what rare earth might look like at the end of a trade war dispute has clearly shown that the administration has said, we're just going to take matters into our own hand. We're going to let the DoD do what it does. And the DoD has made a significant investment in MP Materials, and they've become their largest shareholder. Now, MP Materials, who had shipped material to China in the past, will no longer do that. And that's what it's all about. Ucore is part of that DoD partnership as well. Investments have been made in Ucore. They're looking at us for heavy rare earth. Same template. We have to grow our business and move in that direction. So industry-wise, the MP news and the DoD investment was good. It set a floor price situation, $110 per NdPr kilogram, which is really twice the spot price of China, which we know is manipulated anyway. We've been talking about Western world pricing for some time, so this is a good thing. An offtake arrangement that allows for some security of supply. So the investment community looks at that and goes, well, hey, there's offtake, there's security of pricing that we can frame around. And for Ucore, we've got a couple of feedstock opportunities where we're actually putting pen to paper on definitive arrangements that will bring us the feedstock needed to process and make things happen. So, in total, the economics are becoming more robust. The market growth is certainly there. The demand is needed. DoD is a very key partner. National security needs will be taken care of with heavy rare earth. Emerging industries, semiconductors, robotics, artificial intelligence, all rely on heavy rare earth. We're part of that situation as well. So plan forward, it's all very positive for Ucore, the market, the economics, the scalable technology. I can't understate the scalable technology. Our first tranche here, stage one, is to get 3 Rapid SX machines up and running in Louisiana, and then more to follow. But phase one, or stage one, as we call it, will have about 2,600 to 3,000 tons per annum of rare earth oxides. And when the plant's completely done, there'll be 10,000 to 12,000 tons per annum of rare earth oxide. So in closing, it's been an exciting couple of months. We've got a lot done. The team's really charged up. We just came off of a strategic retreat and all kinds of good information that's flowing forward in our plan. Lots of good news coming in the remainder of 2025 and into 26. And, we're looking forward to playing our part. DoD as a strategic partner is certainly vital. Partnerships that are developing and not just one-off transactions to complete the supply chain are key. And we're feeling very good as a company. And thank you very much.